Hi, this is Michael.
And this is Steven, and we are the Movie Bros. Today, we are very excited to be at part 3 in our SCREAMFEST, and we have a very special guest. Elie Moses is joining us today to discuss Scream 3. Hi, Elie.
Hey, from
What's up,
Australia.
guys?
All the way from
All the way from
Australia.
Sydney, Australia.
Yeah.
Glad to be here, guys. Love talking movies with anyone, so it's always great. We can just, and already we've had a chat before this, and sounds like it's going to be a fun time because we can go on and on. So
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And we've been looking forward to this. So it's going to be a lot of fun as we celebrate Scream 3. And it's going to be a lot of fun things we're going to talk about. And it's going to be a great, great video. So
other things that are great are when you like our movies, when you subscribe to our channel, and when you click the bell notifications. Also, if you look below, you'll see all of our social media links and our Patreon page and our merchandise store. And also you'll see Ellie's links too.
That's right.
So
thank you.
Guys, if you're ready, let's watch the trailer.
It's trailer time.
A lot of green screen here. Here we go. Oh yeah. Ghost face. Yes. Gotta have the rules.
Randy.
Oh, we miss Randy.
Hello?
Hello. Do you like scary movies?
Number 1, the body count is always bigger. Number 2, the death
There he
scenes are always
is.
much more elaborate.
That's it, man. I miss Randy.
R.I.P. to the brother.
What do you know about trilogies?
All I know about movie trilogies is that in the third one, all bets are off.
Hello, Sydney. Welcome to the final act.
Oh yeah, here we go. I love that scene.
Which one? All of them?
All of them.
Don't panic.
I love it.
All right. So before we dive into specific scenes, let's discuss Scream 3 from an overall perspective. Elie, as our guest today, let's begin with your overall thoughts on Scream 3.
Well, I'm going into the film. I was actually influenced by IMDb score because that's all I knew from the Scream franchise. Like that was my first time watching a Scream trailer. I had never seen a trailer for any of the films because I just go into I like going into them knowing nothing or like spoiling any of the kills or anything. Like for instance, the Halloween Kills trailer a couple of weeks ago,
Right.
I felt like showed a lot of the kills. I was just like, you're not meant to be doing that. And I felt like this Scream trailer didn't show much. It was just establishing, there's new rules in this trilogy. And I didn't expect them actually to show that they're changing the rules or something. It's like, oh, it's the final chapter, but we all know, no, it's not. It's
We
not
know
really.
it's not.
10 years later, Scream 4. And then another 10 years later, we're getting Scream 5 next
That's
year.
right.
So. But yeah, the thing that caught me off guard with the film was the setting. Because like, obviously the first film, you have the high school teen drama setting. I'm just like, okay. And then the second film is college, they're all grown up. It's like, it's sort of like 21 Jump Street where it's like high school, then college. And I'm like, the third one, I was interested to see what they do. And I was like, oh, it's a film set. It's all this Hollywood drama. And I'm just like, oh, that's what I loved most about the film was this Hollywood setting. And then it wasn't just a film set. It was also like the Hollywood Hills, all these things surrounding Sydney being locked away and trying to help people on her hotline and everything. But yeah, that's what I think I loved most about the film. You can complain that the killings were less brutal, especially compared to watching 4. It makes Scream 3 look like a PG G-rated movie. But then on my video,
amount of blood, it's the least amount of blood of all the movies.
Yeah, it is definitely. And a lot of people in the comment section on my video like told me trivia surrounding the background of the movie, which I never knew that it happened to release or was influenced heavily by a school shooting, which was tragic. And then that sort of, I guess, restricted the studio, although I think they were a bit scared to go
Mhm.
all out for the trilogy, especially when you're promoting the film as the final act. I think a lot of people would have been like underwhelmed
Mhm.
seeing the kills be the way they were, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it makes sense. It does make sense. Yeah. No, that's good feedback, and I agree with where you're coming from on this. I think that there were a lot of issues. They really were that factored into this, and the original script basically changed so many times. The version of the movie that we have now was really the third version of the film, and you alluded a little bit to it a moment ago. So that like the first version um, was basically where, remember Stu Mocker, Billy's assistant, in Scream 1. It turns out that what the reveal was going to be was that one of the ideas was that he was actually alive. He was in prison, and he was organizing. He was like a mastermind, and they were of high school kids killing in Scream 3. And Columbine happens with the mass school shooting, and the studio and Wes and everybody's like, "Oh, this is like no one's going to want to go watch a horror movie right now about teenagers killing people." So they said we can't do that. So they had to do a second version of the film, which is where there were two killers in Scream 3. Scream is our only movie with one killer. And originally it was going to be Roman, which they stuck with him, but it was also going to be Angelina in Stab 3, who played Sydney. Yeah.
The quite timid girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quiet, timid girl trying to
Yeah,
steal the
'cause-
souvenirs.
You
Yeah.
can see it when you watch the film. There's a lot of awkward scenes with her, and even like with the boot under the toilet
Yes.
cubicle,
Yes.
which is like a nod to the first film.
Yes,
And as
it
well, her running after the explosion, just coming out of nowhere from the hill,
Right.
like being
that,
away
yes.
from the group, which is odd. Like there was a few editing choices. I'm like, oh, you can see where it was in the original script. However, I never knew about the idea with Stu being the mastermind controlling everything. I would have loved to have seen a sequel like that. Maybe
Me too.
having him in prison with some Darth Vader scars. I don't know.
Yes.
After the TV wreckage.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah.
being this, like, I think that would have made it even more difficult for Sydney, having to deal with someone that's controlling everything from the inside of prison. Like,
I know.
how can you stop that? Because you're not facing him face to face.
That's right.
So I think that would have been great. But I still love the film setting. I don't care what anyone
Oh
says.
no, I do too.
Yeah.
I think it's really neat to be in that Hollywood setting, like you said, and the big stage, the big stages where they have everything, all the props built, the houses.
Yeah.
That was really cool, and it was like kind of peeking around the curtain, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the second version. Was going to be, she was going to be having be the girlfriend of Roman, and they were going to do it together. Wes Craven basically said we just couldn't sell it to the studio. The Weinsteins would not. They didn't want to do it, so they said nope, you got to do something else. And so basically that's what we have now. Interestingly enough, Kevin Williamson wrote a TV show that was called The Following, and I don't know if you've heard of that movie. It's a few years back. Well, he took his idea for Scream 3 with Stu, and he put that into a television show, and that's what the show Following is. It's about a mastermind in prison who has people who are fans that are following him, and they're committing murders. They're copycats. So he took the movie that was going to be Scream 3 and made it a TV show.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough.
And then last thing I'll mention on this section here before we get into like scenes and stuff was that because there were so many rewrites, Kevin Williamson wasn't available anymore. He was on other projects and his timeline ran out, so they had to bring a new writer in. So they brought in Aaron Kruger, which Kruger, you gotta love the last name Kruger with Wes Craven, right? Freddy Krueger. And so he replaced him, and he wrote The Ring, Ring 2, some Transformer movies, and he actually wrote the new Top Gun movie coming out next, Maverick. But anyhow, they brought him in and did it. So the last thing I'll talk about overall, then we can kick it out to you guys. I'll kick it out to y'all. The house they used, like Melton's house at the end, that it was the same house that was used in H2O, which I know you haven't seen it yet, but it was. Okay. If you ever watch H2O, you're going to see the same hallways, just redecorated and stuff. But anyway, it was kind of an interesting thing. And Wes Craven said that that house used to be a girls' home for unwed mothers. And apparently they had found that a lot of girls in the basement that were being mistreated and all kinds of bad stuff. So they closed it all down and stuff. But they said that the cast of Scream 3, and not the cast, but the crew, they were shooting there day after day at night. They said they repeatedly were seeing faces in windows. And the crew kept saying they were hearing voices in the house. And this is from Wes Craven's own mouth. And he's just in the director's commentary. And he said that a lot of those passageways in that house are real. That some of those they did not make those for the movie. Some of them they did, but some of them were actually real. The actual real passageways, dude. So
Oh man,
creepy.
It's a horror movie itself, creating the movie, not making one as well. It's just like
I know
experiencing it there.
for real, man. So that was all going on in the background. Excuse me, of the movie. So Michael, what about you, man? Tell us your overall thoughts. Excuse me.
Well, I like the way that it kind of flowed in from Scream 2 to Scream 3. You know, you see Sydney, you know, like Elie said, you know, she's working, helping, you know, girls that are having issues.
Yep.
And then you have Dewey and who's one of my favorites.
I love Dewey.
And then you have you know, all the actors show up for this one, and it's not, you know, set in, you know, a hometown or a school. It's like Hollywood basically, you know, and anybody could be the killer, and it's really hard to tell. And all the cameos they have, it was just fantastic. I loved all the cameos, and you know, actors playing actors who are actors playing in a movie for real. So
in a real movie.
It was not only was it a horror movie, it was fun. So, you know, I just think it was a great movie. So
I agree. Well, all right. Well, that leads us to a nice transition, actually. Let's talk now, Elie, about some favorite scenes. Mike and I both have several we want to talk about, but let's hear about what some of your favorite scenes were in the movie.
Okay, going off memory, my favorite scene, or like one of my favorite scenes, is when Sydney visits the set. That's a great one, because like that's instantly, I remember watching it and I'm like, yo, deja vu. Like it's just like straight back to the first film. It's like a wake up call. And I think Neve Campbell's acting, it's like fantastic there. Like obviously her PTSD kicking in, just like, you're really actually doing this, making a movie about my life. And
I know, right?
And then the killer, the killer attacking her right there as well was great. And I'm trying to think to another one, which actually I really enjoyed. And I think what I like about the Scream movies is they keep inventing new ways to put people or to kill people off. And one of them was one of the actresses when she goes into the room full of Scream costumes. And I'm like, and they're all on the coat rails. I'm like, it makes sense because it's a film set and there's multiple. And then like when you realize who the killer was in the end, and that she was actually talking to him about the script and like rehearsing the whole time, and he's just there chilling in the back room, just hiding. I'm just like, oh, okay. And I think I like it more now, knowing that it was Roman, because he's mucking around on his own film set and he knows where everything is, and he's just playing with his own actress, and like from basically nicing her and just to killing her the next session, the next like scene.
It's crazy.
I really enjoyed that scene.
I did too. And whenever she picks up the phone and it's Roman talking to her about, you know, let's go over our lines. Like that wasn't a voice changer.
It's
actually a real voice.
It's just Roman the whole time chilling in the back room, like, yo, what's up? I'm about to kill you, but let's just muck around a bit and rehearse some lines before you die.
It's really messed up. It's
and
sick,
like even when you watch the film after now, it makes sense that it's like Roman, there's hints like in terms like when they're in the house and it blows up, he's just rewriting his own script, and like who would know how to do that, or like who's good at writing scripts? It'd be the director and writer of his own film. And then I think I don't think it deserves as much hate it gets, this film. Like
100%.
I don't see it like, I think all the Scream films are decent in their own right, in terms like they're fun slasher films with an element of mystery and a decent twist at the end. And when you think about it more often, you realize the little hints. And like, I know we're not talking about Scream 4, but Scream 4, thinking about who the killer was in that film and seeing some of the scenes, and like the killer was right there in front of you the whole time in Jill. I'm just like, yo, you're watching your best friend die. You're watching multiple people die, and you're just there in plain sight. And I realize now that the Scream films have a tendency to put the killer in plain sight of Sydney, or like for instance, the first film, Billy and Stu. She's friends with him, and it's her boyfriend at school.
Exactly, like her boyfriend.
Immediately as the viewer, you're doing process of elimination. And that's what I do when I'm watching him off the fly. I'm just like, surely it can't be. And then the second film, same thing. Like Mickey was in their friendship group, and I'm like, okay, it can't be Mickey. And then Mrs. Loomis, I'm like, she's just a Gale Weathers wannabe, and she's annoying as hell. So I'm just like, eh. And then, sorry for rambling on, but it's just like,
yeah.
And then the third film, I think, Roman was the most sideline of the killers. I think he didn't have much screen time, as much as all the other killers in the films. So that's why I'm just like, oh, he's just a whingy director who doesn't want to be a part of this, or is just like affected by his film. But then when you think about it more now, he's doing the phone call to his actress, even though he's not present there. You know, at the end, that's his voice all along. He's there in the back room just mucking around. Right. And then as well, blowing up, he's doing the typewriting and setting it up. But yeah,
absolutely, yeah. That's 100% agree with you on that, man. There's such a psychotic, sadistic thing to think about being a friend with someone for years or months, whatever it is, and being close to them, and not only seeing them die, but killing them and then being okay with it. And an hour later, so sick, man.
Because like in Scream 4, like Jill gets the first phone call in the car, so I'm just like, okay, he's mucking around because he's related to Sydney, and she's gonna be another victim or like another target. And then as well, she's watching her best friend die across the road. I'm just like, okay, surely it's not her then. Like, it's all good. And then at the end, when you realize it's her, I'm just like, you sadistic little, like, you watched your best friend die. And I remember my reaction when she's eating popcorn with Kirby. I'm like, your best friend just died yesterday. You're awfully chill for this. And then it ends up being her. I'm just like, oh, okay.
What do they say? Psychopaths in real life, they can't empathize, they can't sympathize, they don't know what that feels like. There's no so it's like it's to them, it's okay. It's like they don't feel that human connection. It's really it's scary if you think about it. Hope you don't know one in their own life, right? It's like hope people I know are secretly that way. But that's great feedback, Elie. Hey, Mike, how about you, man? Let's talk about some specific scenes now. What jumped out to you?
Well, as I'm really freaked out with horror movies, so in this I try to find like the comedic side of it, and for me the funniest parts were the scenes I liked were when Jay and Silent Bob did their cameo, and they walked by, and apparently you told me, and it's true, that Wes Craven was right there with them.
Yeah, he was. He had a hat shade and a video camera.
He was pretending to be one of the people visiting the set.
That's right.
And a year later, Jay and Silent Bob asked Wes Craven to have a cameo in their film, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and he did. So I thought that was pretty fun.
It's pretty cool. They traded off cameos.
And then Carrie Fisher, her scene was hilarious.
I love that scene.
I thought that was pretty funny.
It's so good to be when you can make fun of yourself like that. A celebrity. That's awesome.
That caught me off guard, that one.
I know. I was not expecting it.
I was like, hang on a second. And then she's like, I wasn't the one who F George Lucas. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm just going to love the self-awareness of these films. And that's like when I fell in love. Not fell in love with Scream 3, but that's when I realized these films, I just love their self-awareness. Like,
oh, yeah.
In the first one, I was just like, okay, I'm going to expect it to be, I've seen Scary Movie before. I just know the play out of this. So I'm just like, let me see what it was. And then when it became so self-aware, Randy setting the rules, them talking about films and pop culture, I'm just like, oh, damn. And then in the second one, they maintained that. And in the third one, they maintain it. And in the fourth one, they maintain all these pop culture references and setting rules of films and being self-aware. So I'm interested to see where they go with the fifth one now. What rules are they going to set? Because like the whole thing of the fourth one was, don't mess around with the original.
That's right.
Yes. And like, what's the fifth one going to be? Because like, we've seen the reboot one done already.
I'm telling you, man. I know. Lots of excitement here for that. To see what they're going to do. Yeah. Awesome, Mike. Do you have any other scenes you want to talk about, or those are kind of the ones
just
you want
the
to hit
part
on?
where Patrick Warburton, who plays Steve Stone, the Hollywood bodyguard, he's in Dewey's trailer. Yeah, and he's talking to Dewey, and he keeps calling him a dewdrop. And he kept like looking at his stuff and stealing his money and all this other stuff. And you're like thinking, what a cheese ball. Yeah, and then he gets stabbed.
I know. And on that particular scene, it's funny you mentioned that. Wes Craven said the original script there was that when he was on the phone with Dewey was going to be really angry and very upset with him, the way he's handling things and this whole back and forth. And they said, but they felt like if they did that, people would be expecting something, like your emotions are ramping up. So
Oh.
instead, they filmed what they did, where Dewey's very calm, he's very cordial on the phone, and say where you would almost get a lull, like the audience would relax a little bit, and then bam, there's Ghostface.
Yeah.
So that was very intentional. So that's cool that you mentioned that. That's cool.
Well, that's it for me.
Well, all right. I'll just mention a couple real quick. One of them was, I know you mentioned cameos a minute ago, and there's a scene when they first go into the studio on the sets, a warehouse, the set in the warehouse for the houses, and you got Roman up there, Milton's there. They're all on a porch talking about, they can't believe this is happening, the murders. Well, there's a gentleman there, a much older gentleman in a blue tie and a suit. And I don't know if you realize who that was, but that was Roger Corman, who is like known as the godfather of independent films in Hollywood, like in real life.
Okay.
They credit him for starting now this is not where Scream is, but the B-level horror movies, those cheesier horror movies. And for example, he founded Concord Pictures, the movie Chopping Mall, which on our channel, we just did a movie reaction to that movie last week. That's one of his movies.
Oh,
That's Roger Corman produced it.
Oh no.
And it was cool that Wes put him in the film because Stab 3 is supposed to be this, it's like a B-level movie. And so whatever, but they put him in there. I thought that was a pretty cool little cameo. But I have a couple of scenes I'll add. You guys already talked about some of mine, so I won't repeat. But the first opening scene, guys, we got to pause here for just a minute, because Scream, the franchise, is known for their opening kills. They're famous for that, right? All 4 movies. And Scream 3, I thought, had a great opening scene. Cotton Weary is a character we didn't get a whole lot of screen time with in the first 2, more in the second one, obviously. But I liked his character, and I was personally sad to see him go. And I thought that when they killed him right up front, man, like when he gets the knife in him and they go to the Scream 3 logo, it was kind of sad for a minute. I'm like, dang, like a little punch to the gut, because I like he's a legacy character. And what do you think of the opening scene?
Especially a guy on the front poster of the film. I'm like, oh, he's going to be the forefront. He's going to be working with it to help him out now. And then he gets killed off in like the first 5-10 minutes. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Here we go.
Like, I was like, there's another, like, I guess, star-studded character that kills off in the beginning. Like, he had Drew Barrymore in the first film.
Yes.
So from what I've heard at the time, she was advertised on, like, I wasn't born, but like she was advertised on like every poster. And like it was like, Drew Barrymore, this in Scream, new horror film. And then she gets killed off in like the opening 10 minutes. And I think that would have shocked everyone. So
it did. In fact, everyone went into Scream in the theater, because I actually saw it in theaters. Everyone went to that movie expecting her to be the final girl. She was going to be the one that's going to survive. It's Drew Barrymore. She's going to be the main character, right? And so the opening scene starts, and you still think, oh, she's going to survive this. This is going to be an attack. She'll survive it. And the whole movie's going to be, dude, she didn't survive that, that night.
She got violated. Like she got she got stabbed, but we're going to hang her.
Oh, we're going to gut her.
We're going to zoom up on her.
Dude, that poor woman. She had no chance. And her boyfriend, Steve.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so I can see like that would have been great marketing, or just like,
right.
I think like even the director and Wes Craven and Drew Barrymore at the time probably would have been laughing their heads off, saying like they don't know what to expect, they don't know what's coming.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's true.
I'm hoping Scream 5 doesn't kill off like one of the main characters in their first scene, or like, because like it's a movie, like I've never seen a Scream film in theaters, so this would be my. I'm hoping theaters are open, but like like this would be my first one if like Scream 5 comes out. So I'm hoping like I get to experience it in theaters, which would be awesome. And then discuss it after with everyone. But like there's a fandom out there really excited for this, and
it is. It's massive.
It's great. Yeah.
And maybe we'll do a reaction to Scream 5, or review when it comes out together.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be a lot of fun.
I think there's, hopefully with the climate we're in the film industry at the moment, and it's a very touchy topic, so I'm not going to touch on it too much, because it's not here. Like everyone has their opinions, but there's a lot of divide, and there's one side of Hollywood leading to a certain side that not many people agree on. They're catering to a minority.
Right.
And I think the Scream films are the perfect film to like play on that. And
Yep.
because of their self-awareness, they
That's
don't really
right.
get. I hope Scream 5 has that I don't give a crap attitude.
I do
Where
too.
it's just like we're gonna make fun of everything,
Yep.
whether this or that, I don't care.
Mhm.
But I hope they make fun of it and they're self-aware and doesn't cater or like fall into the trap of what films are today.
Yes.
So I'm
100%
hoping
with
that
you.
could be
Yep.
something to involve with the rules with the new film, and then hope
Yes.
play on it. Because like from what I've heard, you guys have told me in the comment section of my videos, and people have told me that not many of the actors were on board for the Scream 5. However, after reading the script and seeing how passionate
Yes.
the writers were about it, and
Yes.
seeing it's a love letter to Wes Craven,
That's right.
that's what's holding me hope for it. So that's why
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
You could taking the words out of my mouth, because
Yeah.
when I was very skeptical of that, I know we're talking about Scream 3, but just for a second, I was skeptical about the new movie myself. And when I saw that Dewey, when David Arquette and Gale came on board, and then Sydney finally came on at the end, and she's like, when the director sent her that letter saying that we are Wes Craven fans, we grew up watching Scream, he's why we got in the film business, we want to honor his legacy. She went and said, you know what? And she saw the script, like you said, and then they were like, you know what? I'm in.
That's
So-
what's holding me hope. Maybe Sydney's not gonna die, because like they
I
really
know.
wanted to get her. I'm like, yeah,
know.
it's hopefully a big role. So I'm just like, I can't see any of the main three dying. I'm hoping no. And like, I actually never knew David Arquette and Courtney Cox were married in real life.
They were.
Yeah.
They were
And they
married for 10
separated
years.
right before 4 or 3. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was
but
before 4. Yeah,
they
were-
filmed that one while they were separated. Oh,
Yes, they were separated already. They were already divorced in 4. They were actually married when they were Scream 3. In 3, they were already married when they filmed Scream 3.
Oh,
In fact,
okay.
they started filming Scream 3 days after getting back from their honeymoon.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So it's
for
funny
real.
how in Scream 3 they're broken up, but they're married
Yes.
in real life, and then
Yeah.
Scream
Exactly.
4 they're broken up in real life,
they're
but
married.
together still in the film.
I'm sure they've talked about it themselves. Like, this is such a weird dichotomy. It's got to be.
Yeah.
They had to have talked about that. But all right. But getting back to Scream 3, I think that the couple of other scenes I'll mention, then we can move on. I just want to mention quickly the house explosion scene was really cool when they are at the fax machine. Remember, and the script's coming through, and they're
Yeah.
running back. What's happening? And they read the next line. Like you said, he's rewriting the movie. And then,
Yeah.
of course, they hit the gas and the house blows up. I'm like, oh, this is great,
Yeah.
because it was the largest budget of any Scream film that they had. And
I can see where it went to.
yeah, so they
blowing up
spent
the
a lot
house.
of it in the cast. I know, right?
Yeah.
And then last thing I want to mention is, and this is for anyone out there, including myself, I always struggle with the question when they found Roman, when Gale finds Roman in the basement in the coffin, he's got the knife and he's bloodied up. She checks his pulse for like 5 seconds, pretty quick. And she tells the other Parker Posey, he's dead, and then they run out. And I'm like, okay, well, how did they figure? I said, well, it must have been special effects, right? This was Roman. He's in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's what I put it down to.
That's what I thought too. Well, guess what? Wes Craven actually says in the director's commentary how he survived, how come that scene was there. And so I've seen so many Scream reactions saying, why did this happen? This doesn't make sense. Well, for the record, guys, I'm going to tell us all what happened was Wes shot 2 versions. One version was she did not check the pulse. Second version, they checked the pulse. And he said they did not use the version without checking the pulse because they figured the fans would be suspicious because Roman's in Hollywood. He is a director, that maybe he's faking his death. So he said, we're going to use the version with the pulse. And he said, and Patrick Lussier, the editor, was like, well, how's this going to work? How are we going to explain this to the fans? And Wes demonstrated to him in person how to stop your own pulse. And he says, let me show you how it's done. And he says, if you apply enough pressure, and he actually describes how you do it. You apply enough pressure to a nerve under your armpit. Don't ask me where, but if you apply that for so many seconds, he said how long, your arm will not register a pulse. And he demonstrated it to Patrick Lussier, and Patrick Lussier hit his hand. He said there's no pulse. And he was sitting right there. So he said, that is how Roman did it. So we finally have an answer now. I never have to guess how is he doing it now. Okay, guys, listen, let's move along here pretty quick, Mike. Let's talk about real quick. What death affected you the most in the movie?
It was the Parker Posey. She played Jennifer.
Yes.
When she runs up behind the glasses and she
Yes.
sees Dewey through it, and the guy, Ghostface is right there, and she's beating on the window, and Dewey doesn't hear her. And I'm like, to be so close to somebody who could save you, and yet you die. That's just like
know.
the epitome of cringehood,
Yeah.
because you're rooting for her to like not die. So
Yeah.
that would be my the one that affected me the most. How about you?
Awesome. Yeah. For me, Ellie, why don't you go? Why don't you go first? I just got through talking.
I agree with Michael. Parker's one was like it's just like because Dewey is shooting the glass in progressive order as well as he's getting to her, and Ghostface, he's shooting the glass progressively, and it's going to her glass, but like he didn't make it in time. So like as he said, like to be so close,
Yes,
and it's just like the glass is moving. You're just like he's staring right at you, but he's not really staring right at you, and then. Yeah, she dies. I'm just like, oh, that's unfortunate, man. Like, it's just like one of those situations where you could have survived. Like,
I know. And I'm telling you, I've seen Scream 3, Ellie, I'm not lying, 30 plus 40 times.
Damn.
I'm a hardcore, brother.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
And I will tell you, and to this day, I've watched it 2 times this week already again. And every time I watch the film, I still yell at the television. Get him!
Yeah.
When he's shooting, I'm like, get her! I can't. I know what's gonna happen, but
it's just that natural instinct. You want her to survive, and like
you do, and you feel
just
that
like
tension.
Like we as the audience, we know where she is, but Dewey doesn't. Sadly,
yes, exactly.
Like, and another one, I can't remember his name. He was part of the film crew. I think it was Tyson.
Tyson. Oh yes.
And I was just like, I felt so bad for him because. Throughout the whole time, he just wanted this film to succeed. He was playing his character. And then he just gets stabbed and he's running away to get help. And you're rooting for him. He's like, he's going to get away. He's going to get away. And then he catches up to him and he chucks him off the balcony while he's alive. And you're like, oh, man, this guy just wanted to, like, he'd done nothing wrong the whole film.
No.
He wasn't suspicious. He was just playing his part. And
just
sadly,
playing his part, man. And that poor guy, he's already bleeding, he's stabbed, he's hurting.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna throw him down on the concrete and just
it was similar to the kill in Scream 2 as well. Where you
exactly. Exactly right.
But yeah, that one, like I was just like, oh man, that one I think, yeah.
I hear you, man. That was rough. One scene I want to talk about, we're talking about what affected us the most in the death scenes. And Ellie, you probably you're gonna laugh at this one because I just watched your Ghostface killings rank video, and I was like, I know this is not going to be high on his list, and I looked at it, and sure enough, it's on the bottom. But I'm going to tell you why.
No, it's all good.
All right. I mean, we just got to talking about the whole Parker Posey scene, which was intense, an incredible scene, and then of course the poor guy on the balcony. We just talked about that too. But I'm going with the Milton throat slash in the final act in the screening room. Now, it wasn't a crazy kill. It wasn't like like the ones we've talked about. But let me tell you why. This is a little bit philosophical here, but the reason why I think it's the most incredible kill is that you have Milton, who is in the position of power this entire movie. He is right. He's a studio head. He is in charge of the movie. He's in charge of this whole everything, and he has been since the 70s because Rena Reynolds, as we know, her mom. Was her original name, was obviously taken advantage of in the 70s so he's been doing this for so long. And here he is in a position where he's shot caller for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
He's in the same room that this happened to, that started this whole thing. And what happens to him? His hands are bound behind his back. Mm-hmm. So you have philosophically, you've taken away his power mentally and physically because he can't do anything. So now he's helpless. He's the most powerful man in the movie is now helpless. He's without any power, and he's in his own domain, the most place where he's most confident in his screening room. And what happens? He gets his throat slashed and thrown on the floor like discarded garbage because he kind of was a scumbag. Let's be honest about it.
Well, and also he was offering the guy anything he wanted because he had so much power and money.
He was,
and in the end, it didn't matter. It didn't mean anything to him.
Bingo. Oh, I love that. What a great exclamation point to my point. I love that. Yeah, he was offering full cut. Remember, that's the last line. He says, full script approval. Name your budget. he's begging and throwing out all this power, and it doesn't mean anything. It's over. Couldn't stop it. And let's face it, if this was a nice guy, I wouldn't be like saying this, but he was not a nice guy. And we know that. They're very clear. So Elie, I understand why it was lowest on your list for kills, because it was pretty unspectacular. It was throat slash.
Yeah.
But I'm going at it from just a philosophical perspective. Why it's powerful.
All right. So I think we're going to go to what favorite characters that were not Sydney, Dewey, or Gale were your favorites in the movie. And I'll go first. Or Elie, why don't you tell us who you think?
It's gonna be a cop out. I'm going with Randy. He's in the film. I don't care. He's in the film. I don't care.
That's good, dude.
I don't care. I'm using that. I'm using Randy because I think I really didn't think he was gonna die in Scream 2 because he was like a favorite character of mine. And I recently watched a lot of. I was rewatching Jeremy Johns' Scream movie reviews, and he loves Randy as well. He's like,
he does.
How much he loves Randy. He's like a favorite character of everyone. And for him to show up in Scream 3 like he did, I don't care how, writing wise, you know what? We're going to write him in his last posthumous video coming out of nowhere from his sister who comes out of nowhere. I don't care. We got to see Randy again, set the rules. The killer is going to be unkillable. He's going to be some sort of meta-human.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's Randy again.
Way to throw a twist in there, Elie.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a really smart choice. I never would have guessed. I never would have said that.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting too about that scene? Wes Craven said that originally they had scripted Randy to be in person, and they were going to say that he survived the events of Scream 2, and that he had been in the hospital for weeks, and his parents took him, and they were living in isolation somewhere in Montana or something. And he was actually going to show up, but then they're like, you know what? We don't think our fan base is going to buy it. So how else can we get him in the movie? And they're like, oh, he has a sister. So his sister's going to come, and he's going to be on the video. So just a little side note to that scene. Yeah, I think that was the right choice. For sure.
I can see how it's much better because if he was in person, it just would have, I guess.
Yeah. It'd have been really kind of really, guys?
Ruined the impact of his death in the second one because he got stabbed multiple times.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I hated that. Okay, so Mike, tell us who was your favorite character, not of the legacy cast?
My favorite character was probably one of two people. The first one is Dion Richmond, who played Tyson Fox, and he was the one that Elie said got thrown off the balcony. Yeah. When he shouldn't have got stabbed in the first place. And when he saw Ghostface, he took out like he's supposed to, like anybody's supposed to when you see stuff like that go down.
Yeah.
And he didn't mix words. He was going for gold, trying to get out of there. And of all the people that died, he should have been the one that did not die. My other personal favorite was Patrick Warburton, who played Stephen Stone, who was calling Dewey Dewdrop. I think the guy is hilarious. I love his voice and anything he does, and he just plays that role so perfect. I was kind of sad he died, but what are you gonna do? But
yeah, exactly. I know.
But that's
everyone pretty much dies in this movie, essentially. Four people.
Yeah.
And one of the people, and my favorite character, not Legacy, dies also. It's Parker Posey playing Jennifer, the imitation of Gale. And I loved her energy, and she's real spunky. And I loved her banter with Gale back and forth, and always trying to
that was good.
each other.
Yes,
that was a lot of fun. And how she would always make comments whenever she was trying to get in the records room, and she walks over to Gale, and she's like, "The real Gale Weathers would find a way." And she pulls out her card and swipes it. And
they really bounced off each other well. She really matched Gale. She really matched Gale, yeah.
And the costume department was great because if you remember her first scene in the movie on the set, she's wearing the same dress and hairstyle of Gale in Scream 1. Yeah, same outfit, same hair. And their continual banter was a great relief to the tension that the movie gave us. So I loved that. She was a lot of fun. All right, guys. So listen, let's transition now to our last couple of things. Our final thoughts on Scream 3. Elie, why don't you start us off? What are your final thoughts overall on the film?
I enjoyed it. I don't think it deserves as much hate as it gets.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people say it's the weakest, but looking back on the franchise now, having seen all of them, I think the first Scream film still remains the top. However, I cannot separate 2, 3, and 4. I struggle to separate them. I do think they all have their positives and strengths over
Yes.
the other. Like
Yeah.
Scream 4, I really enjoyed the kills. They were brutal. Like being in
They
the
were.
modern age, like more modern, I'm like, of course they're gonna go for more brutal kills. And I think some of the stabs were like completely brutal.
Yep.
But then it also had like the knockoff Randy in that film with Charlie, and I didn't think he had his like charisma and energy on screen.
Yeah.
But then Scream 3 had me with the setting. Like I love the film setting. Gale Weathers and Dewey's relationship, even though they were broken up, they had great exchanges. And then as well with the new Gale Weathers, or the actress Gale Weathers, she was fantastic as well. They like the banter was really good, like in Scream 3. However, Scream 3, I think it was a bit lacking on the horror side, and some of the kills were a bit tame when you compare it. So that's why, looking back at it now, I still enjoy it. I really love the setting, and I don't think it deserves much hate. Like I'll definitely revisit those films. Yeah.
Michael, your final thoughts. Let's see what you think, buddy. Of the Scream franchise. Where do you see Scream 3? What do you think about it?
I thought it was really good. I really liked it. Especially with all the cameos.
Yep.
And I think, knowing what we know now about how they tried to do 3 revisions to write this thing, and they were even writing the script as they're, shooting the movie.
Yes.
I think they did a fantastic job with this. And, Elie, you said that, between 2, 3, and 4, you can't tell, but for me it was like when we were watching Scream 3, I would get Scream 2 and 3 mixed up because they did such a wonderful job of immersing all the characters and the storyline together, and for me, I'm like, Steve, what happened in this one, and or what's going on with this, and he kept having to tell me that was Scream 2, and I'm like, oh yeah. So, I have no problem with Scream 3. I really liked it. And I think the characters did a great job.
Agreed. And I'm on the same page with you guys. I like the movie a lot. Again, I think that when I go and see other people's reactions and they're not giving it the love I think it deserves, I leave a comment. And everyone's own opinion. That's whatever. But I think that I'm like, we're going to make a video that celebrates this movie. And Ellie's going to help us celebrate Scream 3 because dang it is a good movie. So leave it alone.
Leave her alone.
Leave her alone. There you go. And I will say one last note on the movie before we talk about Ellie's channel is that if y'all notice in Scream 3, I love this little touch that Wes put in the movie where Sid wears the necklace of the Greek letters from her boyfriend in Scream 2 who died. I don't know if you guys caught that, but
I didn't actually.
Go back when you rewatch it. Notice the silver necklace hanging down. It's the Greek letters. It's the same ones from Scream 2. That was pretty cool that she's wearing those. And I thought that was a neat little touch that they put in. And there's another Easter egg. If you watch her when she goes in their house at the very beginning, she locks the door at the top. And if you look on the left, the camera zooms in a little bit and of a baby picture of her. That's a real picture of her and her father she gave them. But right above that, there's the Troy poster from the play in Scream 2. When she was the lead in Troy.
Oh, nice.
So just a little Easter egg Wes put in there with the necklace and the little Troy poster. So just things to look out on the next go around.
Yeah.
Elie, hey man, look, for those who've never visited your channel yet, please tell them what's in store for them when you stop by when this video's over and they come visit.
My channel name is the same here, titled just Elie Moses. I'm a 21-year-old law and film student here from Sydney, Australia, and I just have a love for film and passion for film. So I love doing videos. I try and be unique and original where I can. And if I come up with something original, so like I have a series on my channel called Flicks and Bricks where I build Lego and talk about movies live. I either do that on stream or I've done like pre-recorded ones. So that's one I do. And I try to think of original ideas. So I do one called Cinema Showdown as well, where I haven't done one in a while actually, but pit 2 films against one another and do a live stream and do live polls and debates and try and sway each other and see which one prevails in the end. So And then at the moment, the movie reactions have been doing well on my channel. So reacting to films for the first time, I didn't expect it to kick off the way it's done. Like I say kick off, like it's still just like it's tiny amount of views, but it's done better than I've expected. So I've been keeping my momentum going with the movie reaction. So that's what I've only been doing at the moment. And it's made me a bit lazy with the other concepts, but hopefully I can pick those back up.
Well, man, I got to tell you guys, his channel's great. I've watched a lot of his stuff already, and we found you, Elie. We found you because of your reaction videos. So we would have never found you not done that. So I said, this guy's great. I told Mike, I said, man, we got to reach out to him because we would have a great time doing a video together. And
no, it has been. It's fun.
It's been so fun, man. And so, guys, everyone, we're going to put the link to Elie's page directly in the description. So when this video is done, and after you've hit subscribe and like on this video, drop down to the notifications, the description, below. You'll see Elie's link. You just click it right there. It'll take you right to it. Spend some time there. You're going to like what you see, and leave a comment, man. Let them know you know from the ScreamFest, man. We would love to know that. And he's a great guy. So Elie, I hope that we do more of these. I really want to tell you thank you for joining us. This has been really great.
H2O, right?
H2O together. There you go. Hey,
I know I'll put myself through another Halloween movie.
Hey, Elie, I have an idea for you though. When you talked about them pitting the movies against each other, you should pit the Scream movies against each other. Who would survive? Which Ghostface would prevail?
Like
Scream 1 versus Scream 2, or 2 versus 4. Or, I don't know. Just an idea.
Yeah.
That's a free one. I won't charge you for that one. All right. Well, guys, listen, this has been a ton of fun. We're here with Elie Moses on Scream 3. And listen, be sure you click the bell notification, because coming up next in the ScreamFest is our breakdown of Scream 4. So you do not want to miss that. And it will be coming out tomorrow if you're watching this on the actual launch date. Otherwise, you'll see it in the playlist. If you're watching it months later, you still see it. All right, guys, listen, one more time. This is Steven.
And this is Michael and our special guest, Elie. And we are the Movie Bros.